guys, I'm really loving the show. Brienne, let's start with you. What was the genesis of creating these two characters and this story about them?
Yeah, so we started talking about 6 years ago, 2015. Myself, Donald, and Michael. It's hard to pin down, really. I know myself and Donald wanted to work together. We had, we'd done a play together. I'd starred in a couple of his short films that he wrote and directed. So I knew he was a great writer and a director. So I knew he was great behind the camera as well. And I just kind of wanted to do something fun with them. And so we just had a chat, and Donald said, I'd love to involve Michael in it. And Donald and Michael have written sketches down through the years. So, the three of us just got into a room and kind of clicked, and we made each other laugh. I think that was the most important thing. And we had a responsibility to each other to continue trying to make it and being responsible for the material we were showing each other. And so that kind of spurred us on, really. And out of that came all these mad characters, but it's hard to pinpoint where they all came from. I do think that childhood has something to do with it. I think myself and Donald are brothers, obviously, and Donald was childhood friends with Michael. And I think Frank comes out of, a similar sense of shared references, or, imagine what it was like to be young and not wanting to grow up, what it is to be kind of 11 or 12 years old, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where Frank came from, I think.
I think there's a lot of people like that too. Domhnall, I love this character for you. I think I've been a fan of your work for a long time. Doofus, man. I mean, that's on the head. You got the character. Can you talk about how you created him and playing Doofus?
It's such a funny question. It's not. You get so used to hearing the name Doofus. Like, we got so used to hearing it because the three of us would sit in a room, but we'd also send emails back and like when we were writing it, you just get used to Doofus. And then when it's out in the world and you hear somebody else say it, you go, that is absolutely, like, that's outrageous. I don't know what we were thinking. It was such good fun. He's sort of got boundless enthusiasm. He loves Frank, and he thinks Frank is like the coolest guy in the world. He looks up to him, and like a puppy dog, he just wants to kind of please him all the time. So that's kind of where he starts, and that's where all the comedy comes from with him. And so the three boys, myself and the two boys, created him together, really. And then playing him, you bring your own stuff. But then also, the guys were great, and we were careful as it went along that he sort of does grow a little bit. You start to realize that he can be selfish if life is offering him certain things, and you realize that while we know that Frank is holding him back early in this series, I think that's very clear. As the series progresses, you realize that maybe Doofus is holding Frank back as well, and that they're all these characters are holding each other back from developing because they're all stuck in a place which feels comfortable but is keeping them from progressing. And that's a very serious way of describing it. In the middle of that, you got loads of jokes with like poop in bags and people falling over. But that's how I approached him. You got to approach him as a real person and not just a stupid name. But then once you start talking about him, he just becomes a stupid name again, obviously.
Yeah, it's a fun name to say, though, I gotta say. I think that you kind of hit it right there. It's like, I like that these characters, there's not really the straight character. They're all affected. They're all... How did you kind of go about finding the right cast for the mom, for the girlfriend? There's such a great cast here. How did you go about that?
It was rigorous,
sorry,
right?
Go ahead, Donald. Yeah.
No, it was rigorous, but like we just got so lucky. I think we saw so many amazing actors for the parts who didn't end up playing the parts. We were very lucky that people wanted to do the show. I think we probably never imagined we could end up with this illustrious a cast. What you're seeing in the show is like some of the best actors that Ireland has to offer doing this very silly stuff, but they just brought a diligence and a passion and a seriousness about being funny with them, that we just got super lucky, right, Brian? Like, and also they made it. You said before that they all brought something different than what we'd imagined, and I think that's true as well.
Yeah, I think that's always true in a way. If you've cast well, that it's kind of theirs now in a certain way. But I do think, and this is something we have to remind ourselves every day, it was just about taking it seriously. And the minute you're in on the joke as an actor, it's not funny anymore. And it's kind of embarrassing. So that was a lesson just for myself more than anyone else. But I did find that, people who read for it, you could you could tell if they got it or not just by how they said the words. And again, the biggest lesson was for me just in terms of not making fun of it. And there's something really funny about hearing Tom Von Lawler, who plays Peter Bryan, say Doofus, but like really seriously. It's like he's in a very harrowing kind of I don't know, Patrick Marber play or something, but actually he's in the world of Frank. So any people who came in who kind of talked like seriously and as if they have the stakes are important, I think that made it even funnier. And so that's kind of where we start. That's kind of what we made sure to think about when casting it. Yeah.
Brienne, the relationship with your mom, I think, is really really relatable, and I think very realistic. How did you approach that? And was that based on anything that you knew or you were comfortable with telling?
In terms of approaching it, the three of us wrote it and kind of had a lot of discussions about Frank and also about Mary, about how she's very much living her own life. I'm not sure, James, you may not get any of this, but I'll continue talking anyway. Oh, there you are. Sorry, I'll just continue. But yes, we got discussions about Mary being, just being her own person and kind of being Frank's mate. She thinks Frank is kind of gas. She doesn't really. She's not that discerning, about his life or anything. And she kind of has a live and let live sensibility, which is perfect for how we think about Frank's story. In that, she really should have kicked him out a long time ago, but she didn't. So in a way, what Don was talking about with that kind of toxic love thing where they're all weirdly codependent, I think that's true of Frank and Mary. Even if she does kind of let him live his own life, she doesn't really act like a traditional mother in that sense. So, we had a lot of fun playing around with that and how maybe there should be more boundaries between them, but there isn't or something. But yeah. So we had fun doing that for sure.
I like the fact that it's 6 episodes and it moves in a really beautiful direction. Do you plan to continue it? Is this something that you would like to see continue to a 2nd season, 3rd season, 4th season?
That's a lot of seasons.
Yeah.
I think what we concentrated in the writing of this was coming up with an ending for this that was an ending to Frank's story at that time. You know what I mean? So it feels like a full 6 episodes, but the world that Frank inhabits still makes us laugh. Myself and Brian and Michael still send each other texts in the WhatsApp group saying, imagine if Frank did this, imagine if Frank did that. What the hell would happen if Mary, joined a banjo band? You know what I mean? So there's always loads of ideas. That was a bad one. I should make it clear that was a bad idea.
Let's put up with Michael first. We'll see.
No, that would not feature in season 2. But so yeah, we wanted to have a climax to season 1 that felt like its own thing, and yet the world could continue easily. I think it's just if it were to happen, I think we'd all want to grow a little bit in the meantime and see what we wanted to talk about, because we really wanted to talk about certain things in Frank. We realized as it progressed, and I'm very happy that they're in there.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we got wrapped up, but you're so talented, both of you, and I really do love the show. It's so charming and wonderful.
I appreciate that. Thanks, James.
Yeah. Thank you so much, James.